Good Chicago morning to you. Live from some hotel in Chicago because I don't need any of you yahoos calling and waking me up with like a prank wake up call. I've had that before. It's super early here, Dave. I know we're live at 8:30 Eastern, but 7:30 Eastern or 7:30 Central is where I am right now. How you doing? No Tony
We
today, by the way.
we appreciate you waking up an extra hour early. And yeah, no Tony today.
No Tony today. Tony is out. Is he at the fishing hole or something like that? That's what he's doing.
They're at an undisclosed family lake house, I think it is.
Oh, good for him. That's good. All right. We have a problem with YouTube. I'm trying to get us live on YouTube right now. Hang on a second. Um, but I will talk about us and what we did last night. And by us, I mean me. I'm in Chicago. I went to this event. There's a photo from it. I am not a great photographer. I feel like anytime if you're like at a cool event and you take a picture, it always looks like there's 3 people at the event. Like I'm just not a good photographer. But this event was full. It was the health to tech event. I flew all the way to Chicago for it because I think it's a stunningly simple and brilliant idea. And this guy, Alex, came up with this idea. And he's like a tech CEO. He's got this like startup and he's worked in health tech for like 13 years. Interview coming out with Alex. I interviewed him yesterday before the event. And he's sitting there probably thinking like, hey, how do I get more people who might be like influential to my organization's success? But then he went one step further, which is like, well, to help my success, I actually should help other people. So he throws these impromptu like pub nights where the formula is pretty easy. If there's a speaker, he's about to introduce the speaker last night. She spoke on using storytelling in your communications and marketing to a room full of tech people. And I remember like a lot of them were like, And when I talked to her, I grabbed her and I'll have her on the show too because she's smart. I said, how is this usually received by tech people? And she's like, they love it, but they never do it. And I'm like, right. Everybody agrees it needs to be done, but then they're like, we don't do it. So it was a great event. I loved it. The bumpability, which is what we talk about after the event, was fantastic. The bumpability for this was the people in the room that you want to be bumping into on LinkedIn, except now you're having eye contact. They're handing you their business cards. I got a pile of business cards. Like these are the exact right people you want to be in the room with. And it's anti-LinkedIn, right? Alex goes into why in the interview, why it's really successful and all the reasons that you and I would probably point out. People were starved for inhuman contact, in-person contact during COVID. This thing comes back. He has them at like this place called The Yard. Is there places? They told me, the staff there told me they have locations in New York. It's like a cool WeWork. Have you seen this thing?
Like a co-op. Yeah, a non-WeWork co-op.
Yeah, they're new. The staff was there. It was very nice. It's called The Yard. And I made several milkshake jokes and they did not understand them. I think the staff is too young. I think I have aged out of milkshake jokes. And I'm like, this is great. You guys should have milkshakes. And they're like, oh, yeah, we'll put that on a list. And
yeah,
I was like,
ice cream or
what?
whatever. Yeah,
I'm like, because you want to bring more people to the yard. And she was like, yes, yeah. So you can pass our cards out. And I was like, never mind. So I wanted to retell that joke here because at least I got a giggle out of Dave. Anyway, this brings up what this made me think of was, I think the number was 32. Somebody wrote a book called The 32 Immutable Laws of Marketing. And I've talked about them before without ever maybe referencing a list, which is if your thing is big, how can you make it small? If it's small, how can you make it big? If it's visible, how can you make it invisible? Just all the vice versas. I think health to tech events work because they are the opposite of LinkedIn. They are the in-person LinkedIn. Great event. He's doing more of them. There's one coming to New York. I did not want to wait to scope my first one out. That's why I flew to Chicago because I think this is a stunningly great idea. And here's what I want people to do who are in health tech. I don't want you to come. I don't want you to come because I'm going to take all the good vibes and all the meetings for myself. So don't come to these events. Don't go to health2tech.com and see where the events are. So he pretty much does Boston, New York, Philly, DC, Chicago, and then he just rotates. He has different frequencies for different cities. New York, I think he does every month. So if you're in health tech, don't go to these events. They'll be horrible for your career because you'll have way too many people to talk to. So it was a good event. I loved it. Alex, again, kudos to you. Another backstory I'll say before we move to the next topic was he's a Ukrainian refugee. He left during the war. I mean, this guy was like, he could have just done, just survived, but he didn't. He came to the U.S. On a visa, and I don't know. In my opinion, there's no way to measure how many connections he's fostered so far, or how many he'll do in the end. Right? There's really no way to really measure this. But this will be the meeting for several things that will happen and blow up in health tech in the future. It'd be awesome. So that's the event. Kudos to Alex. Episode out soon.
See, and this is the beauty of in-person anything compared to virtual anything. And this is why, for multiple reasons, like I always jab Tony, because Tony comes up with these like virtual, telehealth, video visits and virtual
Well,
programs and this and that.
Hold on, Tony's not here, so I'll be Tony.
Yeah,
but Jimmy, how did you find out about this? I'm like, on LinkedIn, and he's like, right.
Yeah, but now I used to go to these in the city here in New York, through like Meetup and these different other platforms, and it was similar. It was like when I had Vinicial, and it was like a couple different people would talk about their software companies, or they'd have a speaker or whatever, or they'd have it like an investor that's speaking. There was pitch nights. There was, you
That's
could
a
like
cool idea. Pitch
you
night.
could submit your startup, your business plan, your mock-ups, whatever. And there's a huge difference between that. Like I don't want to get too far into it, but like I went to this one, this dude pitched, this was 2014 or 15. This dude pitched, like, it was like the Instagram for health care images. So it was like imaging and things like that. It was called Insight Medi. Long story short, we met in 2014. Ann and I, we have our honeymoon in Spain in 2015. I messaged him on Twitter, DM on Twitter, like, "Hey, dude, like we met in New York and you pitched, like you didn't win or whatever, like whatever." Like he was hard on himself. I was like, "Dude, that was a great pitch." We met up in Spain a year later, and like we've gone to Spain and Germany multiple times to see him and his family just from one of these events. Like and he'll come to Brooklyn. Him and his family have stayed with us. We're good friends. We just spoke. They're moving somewhere else in Spain right now. You can't do that online.
Right.
And that's just relationship building, like, peer to peer, colleague to colleague. And this is, regardless of price, regardless of insurance, this is, in my opinion, why there is no ultimate value in doing some virtual thing where you're trying to help someone either out of pain, out of an injury, get them back to sport, get them back to, like, there's so many constraints to the virtual. And these are some of the anecdotal, non-clinical stories, right? Like that guy, Alex, has a tech company. You're in a tech company. You have tech offerings, but then you get a room full of technologists that are meeting in person because their whole world is virtual. And then they do this, like, that could have been a Zoom call. Like, why was it in person? You know what I mean? Like, it's just fascinating. It's fascinating, like the commonalities and the differences of like virtual work or play and in-person work or play or recreation.
Now, you're gonna hate the next thing I'm gonna say, though. So Alex is all about the in-person. Alex is all about the in-person events. He is the one fostering the anti-LinkedIn, right? The in-person LinkedIn. Alex is also a tech CEO. I wasn't planning on doing this. I was going to save it for his interview, but I'll pop it out. This is his product that he has created. So Yod, your online doctor diagnostics, he is creating a tool that you're looking at here if you're watching a live stream. It's like the size, it looks like a one of the handheld thermometers, like the forehead thermometers, right?
Yeah, and it's going to diagnose what?
So what you do is, his goal, his vision is, everybody in America or everybody in the world has one of these things that has multiple attachments under their bathroom sink. And when you need to triage, do I go to the emergency room? Does my kid that sick enough? Or they just need to they can write a script. You telehealth call your doctor. Boom, there's a Zoom call. But now the doctor needs more information. They might need to know temperature. They might need to look in their ear or your throat. They might need an EKG. I don't know. So he's got this multi-tooled thing that Bluetooths. So now when you plug it in, the doctor's like, "All right, mom, like put that in the kid's ear. Oh yeah, that's inflamed. Like, boop, that's an ear infection. Got it. Let's just instead of waiting for 5 hours in the ER, the multiple attachment tool." So it's an extension of the provider used by mom or dad or somebody, not to replace them and not to replace an ER visit, But gosh, if you could knock ER visits down by 20% at 3:00 in the morning. So this is an example of like someone who embraces both. So I don't disagree with you, but in some cases it wouldn't be bad, because I've done telehealth to triage my dad, not dragging my dad into a doctor's visit when I didn't need to.
So that device, it makes sense to be an extension of a virtual visit, of a telehealth visit, because when you do a telehealth visit, you don't have those components.
Got nothing
to relay to a physician or a nurse practitioner or whoever, NP or a physician assistant or
got a
whatever.
stethoscope so they can hear the cough. Like,
Yeah,
that's just cool.
So he's at, like, he built a website. It looks beautiful. It's designed well, but like, I'm assuming he, like, has he raised money? Is this even in development?
I would have to ask him again. Yeah, I mean, he handed me one. Like, he has a working prototype at the event yesterday. So, and he has competition. He mentioned who the competition was. He's like, we're not the only people to do this. There's another one, but their price point is, 5 or 6 times higher than we'd like it to be. Alex, in my head, I was thinking, what would I pay for this? Right? Start thinking like Dave. What would I pay for? Are people going to pay for this? He wants to make it not 99. He wants to make it 2 digits, $99 or less. Because I'm like, that's the way you get it underneath everybody's kitchen sink.
The amount of money to build this thing that's actually accurate, that can do all the vital signs, is going to be astronomical. I wish him the best. I have a 12-month-old son. I would pay $100 right now for it. I would probably pay multiple hundreds for it right now. But if it worked, the amount of money this thing will need to get in front of consumers across the country is going to be raising like tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of dollars.
Yeah, I don't know how this.
I hope he can do it.
Someone's going to do it.
I don't think. Yeah,
or he gets bought, right? Or someone's like, you're.
Amazon bought One Medical, right?
Yeah.
So if they don't already have it, if they're not already working on it, then either it's not a big enough market, it's not enough where they can get the price down to sell it to everyone who has Amazon Prime or whatever. I'm just being a realist. Like, if he were to pitch me on investing in this, let's just say, like, I'm not saying he is. I don't know. I would not invest in this, because this is going to take a ton of money to actually get done, and then to get it into some different consumer portals so that more people find out about it, know about it, whatever. And then it's one of these things where you have to buy it when you don't need it. And then when you need it and you don't have it, it's like, wait, now it's going to take 2 days on Amazon Prime, or it's going to take 7 days to order it from his website or whatever. So it's one of those things that is more like what's the analogy? Like, it's more like a vitamin instead of a painkiller. It's like, I don't have, like, yeah. So, like, you'd have to order it ahead of time, and when you don't need it. Fascinating, really interesting. I just don't think there's going to be a massive, let's just say, I don't know, in 25 years, I don't think there's going to be a huge change in the amount of in-person that we do versus telehealth and virtual. But anyway, that's my bias.
Tony's here.
Tony's on a lake right now. He's already out on the lake.
Good.
It's early.
Yeah, dude. If you're on vacation, dude, you have a certain amount of hours. So he's in the back of a boat. He's wearing Crocs. So I'm about to make fun of him for that when he gets back. But hey, listen, you're on a boat, dude. You could be made fun of. What do you want to talk about next? Do you want to talk about the thing that I brought to the group chat, the thing in New York, or do you want to talk about the guy that you have the thing in the live stream? I have both ready.
Let me see. Well, you started off with the Alex thing. Let me go with, how about the Greg Todd rant that I sent in the chat? Yeah. Okay. So, Greg Todd on his story yesterday posted this is a post from Physiogram. Salary discrepancy. Experienced physical therapist here. Annual billing $340K to $360K. Annual pay $105K. So they're billing $340,000 to $360,000 per year. Sounds like an in-network practice, but could be out of network as well, but probably in network. Their annual pay, salary compensation, whatever, is $105,000. They just receive a generous 0.5% merit-based raise, which honestly felt like someone, and I'm just quoting this post, which honestly felt like Someone tossed scraps off the corporate table and called it a reward. I'm curious, maybe the clinic owners, regional managers, VP, CEOs can help me understand the sustainability model here. How is capping a PT's financial growth while squeezing maximum billing from them supposed to work long term? PTs aren't neither blind nor dumb, and burnout isn't just a buzzword. Would love some insight from the top, preferably someone other than "thanks for all you do" and "pizza for lunch," because pizza,
Wow.
yeah,
So this
pizza.
wasn't written. So to be clear, this wasn't written by Greg Todd, but Greg Todd screenshotted it and then was commenting on it.
Well, yeah, and his comment in text form was, "Nobody's going to tell this person the truth. They actually get paid too much," which I was
Too
like,
much.
"Whoa!" I was like, "Yeah." And
So
then the next story of his was him verbally saying that this PT that's making $105,000 per year somewhere in the US is entitled. Now, before I even say uh, if I agree with this or not, or if you agree with Greg Todd or not, any thoughts or takeaways on the post? Gotta love a nice anonymous post. Gotta love it.
well, they're at the anonymous posts, and I have flipped from being like, "What's the problem?" Unless you're a whistleblower, right?
Then it's fine.
That's
Or if
fine.
it's
But
a legal matter or something.
other than that, I'm anti
I
anonymous
got you.
posts.
I got you
I
to
have
my side.
I have
Good.
flipped. So what is my I mean, they're at least trying, because in this post, that's the wrong one. They're trying to like get someone to like say like real information, right? They're saying like someone from a top. I want to hear someone from a top. Except this person's being anonymous and they want someone else to like give them real info. It's like, well, transparency works both ways. But
Right.
what's
Right.
the multiple? What is the what if, as an owner? 3. So if you want to make $100,000, you have to bring in $300,000.
At least, or 3.5. Yeah,
But
which is
that's what
where
this
they're at.
person's that's what this person's doing.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
Exactly.
What's the problem?
So here's a couple comments. Like therapists, and I thought I knew as well, but I didn't. Therapists, or even, it doesn't even matter if you're in physical therapy or healthcare, you're in some other, I don't know, you're in HVAC, you're in, I don't know, pool cleaning, yard maintenance, or whatever you're in, whatever work, sales, like whatever. It's at least 3.5x difference of like what you bring in and then what you're actually paid, whether it's a fixed salary or it's hourly, annualized over the year, or or a commission based, or what, or some hybrid of some combo of those things. So staff physical therapists, including myself when I was a new grad, or when I was, working with Ed Mearsh and Motion PT and all that, and then they kept growing after I left. I thought I knew, my overall value and the value exchange of what I'm bringing to the table and what I should be making and what I should be getting paid versus what I'm doing. And this therapist and most therapists don't understand how challenging it is and all the costs, all the risk to run a business and a practice, especially if you're in network. Greg Todd said in that verbal, the next slide, he said, when you're billing 340K to 360K per year, that practice might only be making 60% of that. So I don't have a calculator in front of me, but that's, what's that, 200K or something
60% of what?
of 360 in
Let
the
me
in the
look
window
real
of 340 to 360. You say 350,000. What's 60% of that?
quick. 210.
210. So
They're making
let's
100
say,
grand on you and you paying you 100.
right. So that's like,
But
and all and any of the denials, any of the bad notes. If the therapist writes a bad note and they're not getting coached on writing better clinical documentation, whatever, the owners and the CEOs and the regional, whatever, whoever owns the practice, the stakeholders, me in my practice, I'm taking the risk. I'm paying you a guaranteed or an agreed upon rate. But if you're not delivering the proper notes, or if there's an issue, if there's something with a patient wants to report us to the board, or try to sue us or whatever, like the owners take all the responsibility, all the risk, and the staff physical therapists take no risk at all because they're being paid a salary or hourly. Some of my therapists actually taking some risk in terms of being paid per visit, but then they
Mhm.
might have dips in compensation when people are being discharged. People, our patients and clients are traveling, um, and they're being paid per visit at a higher rate. But it's not a consistent paycheck, right? So
Okay.
physical therapists, and Tony knows this, Tony would agree, most likely, that therapists are typically fear based, and they're risk averse, and they want to have like a consistent pay. They want to have a consistent paycheck. 105K. I mean, I know from some insider talks with owners recently in the New York City area, Spear Physical Therapy is paying a lot of their therapists 70, 80, 90K per year to be
in the
full-time
city.
staff physical therapists in Manhattan, in the New York City area. Now, it doesn't mean that they live in Manhattan. They might live in Queens or Brooklyn or New Jersey,
That's a haul
or
then to get
right,
in.
right.
Like
Or they might live
that's a
uptown. They
commute.
might live in the, Harlem or the Bronx. I don't know, wherever. Um, but if this staff physical therapist is making $105,000, and they're getting a 0.5% merit-based raise on their base salary. The problem is they're saying, like, I deserve more. Like, why am I only getting paid 105K when I'm billing $360,000 a year? And I don't understand, like, why not look at it as like, how else can I bring value to the practice? Can I bring new referral sources? Can I do more new programs? Can I do what Jimmy did? Can I go and do some of these, tech meetups, and maybe, I don't know, start an ergonomic program for all these technologists all these companies, bring more money to the table, and then say, hey, can I get 25 or 50% of this partnership deal or whatever? Like,
Right, right,
then
right,
that's
right, right.
more money for the staff physical therapist. We know that, reimbursement is capped or declining, and there's no
Mhm.
wiggle room there. So why fight that?
So it's a psychology thing. Number one, you were taught in the brochure that you're going to be a doctor of physical therapy when you walk in this machine. And when you come out, there you are, you have the degree. And then someone goes to US News and World Report and reads rankings of the happiest professions or the best schools or the average salary. And you're like, great, that's what I sign up for. And that is one person's interpretation. Why don't these things happen? Or why, if I bring in $350,000, am I not getting $250,000? 50 to 60% of overhead is wages. So that front desk person that preps every patient or takes a phone call, you have to bring in money to pay for Cindy. Rent and facility.
Any of the aides, any of the
Yep.
non-revenue
The
producing
aides.
team members,
If you
billing
have
billing
if you have
people.
billing people, we'll get to that. If you have marketing, how'd you get that patient? Did you physically go out and with a sign? No, you didn't. You either paid on someone to run online ads, right?
Amen.
So
Amen.
50 to
Yep.
60% of total revenue is salaries. Everybody in the room, whether
Yes.
they are revenue generating or not, they like to get paid because they have to pay rent for their own apartments. Number two, rent and facility costs. It's usually a huge, major fixed cost. Medical spaces, too, are commercial. They are going to be more than the square footage that you're living in. Now, third comes back to the first one, benefits and payroll taxes. I know that like $100,000 is what you look at, but when an employer offers you health insurance, they are paying that. To Dave's credit, he called the next one, billing and revenue cycle management. In-house or outsourced, it's usually a big deal. So saving a point or two or getting a better one is a big deal. So that could be 4 to 7%. I've heard some people doing 10 or 12%. Could you imagine that? 10 or 12. That's not that crazy, but people don't know because people haven't talked about it. Insurance, your EMR, EHR, so technology like that could be like what ballpark EMR costs? $100 per provider, $300. I've heard some wild ranges of EMR costs per provider per month.
Yeah, 100. I mean, I think prompt. I've heard prompt nowadays is more expensive,
Yeah.
uh, but yeah, in that range. So
Continuing,
overall, we got.
you see all these things that come to fruition. Yeah.
Absolutely. Overall, as a review, there's like three main buckets, right? So you said like the personnel and the labor side, right? And that, like you said, 50 to 60%. Call it 55%. You got overhead at around 25%, which only leaves 20% profit. Now, there's not a ton of practices across the country that are even at 20%. So then there's more, you take, maybe they're at 10, 11, 12, whatever, 15%. So the other percentage points there that are not in the profit bucket are already in the personnel bucket or the overhead bucket. Overhead would be the rent, like you said, the utilities, all the fixed costs, the equipment, buying new laptops, buying new treatment tables, building out construction, building, expanding your office, opening up the next office, whatever it is. So yeah, personnel, labor, uh, 55 or so percent, overhead, 25-ish percent, probably more. I'm
Dave,
Kaglani
I feel
watching.
like Dave will agree with Dave. Dave Cohen chiming in saying billing and revenue are two different animals. I didn't understand this, but like you have to understand that different words have different definitions. Building and revenue are two different animals. Salary should be a percentage of revenue, not of billings. Agree with Greg Todd. This person is in fact overpaid. And it's not what they're not saying is this person isn't worth more, but they haven't brought it in yet. We eat what we kill as a pack. Hey, everybody, let's figure out how to hunt better instead of, and I'm not saying well, I don't know. I can't say this person is entitled or not because I don't know them well enough. But what you might say is, hey, why is it this way? And then someone, a good owner will sit you down and be like, okay, my man, let's talk about numbers. Like be John Taffer in Bar Rescue. Let's break open the books. Did you know that we picked this location over that one because of this? And this costs $4 more per square foot times all this. You want to have, a grass floor, a turf floor. We can do whatever. That costs money. That floor costs money over and over. So yeah, I think we need more education and more transparency. This is where, even if I'm not going to be a business owner, me understanding how businesses work will make me go, oh, okay, I get it. That's why I can't make $200,000. It's not that I don't want to give it to you. These are a lot of ex-clinicians who would love to make other clinicians more money, and they're not laughing their way to the bank all the time. Sometimes they get paid last, and their salary is very variable from month to month. Imagine that. So good call, David.
And none of the staff physical therapists understand that. Well,
I shouldn't say none. Like a lot of them do. I feel like more people
all
understand.
they understand all of, like, that the owner gets squeezed with this profit, right? So if there's extra, depending on capacity and referrals and team members and all that, the personnel and the overhead bucket, it's easy for those buckets to be bloated. It gets taken away from the profit bucket. There's three buckets.
Yeah.
It's saying base salary plus a percentage of collected revenue adds safety for the owner. Absolutely.
What a great motivating factor would that be? It's like, okay, that's how sales works a lot of times. There's different ways for sales, but like base salary. But if you really want to make money, my man, go hunt. Like, let's go hunt. But it's a mindset shift.
Across all the Facebook groups, across LinkedIn, whatever, like all the physical therapy groups that I basically have gotten out of, everyone's saying, I would say everyone, like almost all these staff physical therapists are like, I deserve more. We deserve more because we're DPTs, because we're doctors of physical therapy. We deserve more because we have all the student loan debt. None of them ever say, I'm going to bring in this extra 50K or 100K in revenue from running groups, from partnerships. I mean, there's some practice owners that have partnerships with like big companies, like with On Running and Strava and different brands and stuff like Adidas and stuff like that. Like that. Now, of course, that takes effort. Yes, that takes effort. It takes time, and that could be. You mentioned behind the scenes, Jimmy. Like how could a person in an organization, like, so they ask the CEO or someone for permission for this type of stuff? Should they ask the owner, or should they just go and try to do the thing and like ask for forgiveness or permission later? A lot of the therapists are not going out and being proactive and saying, how could we start a new program? How could we bring in more? How can I, as a therapist, bring more value into the practice? And because I have a cushion of a fixed guaranteed salary, so they don't have downside. They don't have a lot of downside. They're asking for more upside without any cut in the downside, right? But they're not bringing any of these programs or these ideas or these partnerships, revenue, profits into the practice and saying, hey, if I bring this in, can I get 50% of this? Like, because I know you're going to have the overhead of actually rolling it out and like onboarding all the therapists if it's a new thing, and educating our therapists. Like, here's why we're doing this partnership with Strava or On Running or whatever. Here's what we're going to do. This run club. There's a ton of personal trainers that are eating our lunch with doing like workshops and talks and running groups with like ASICs, and they're going to like the ASIC stores, and the personal trainers are talking about foot types and different shoe styles. I mean, physical therapists should be doing that. It's insane.
I always say when PTs, I forget who the guy was, but he was in a Facebook group, and he was like, look at this trainer. This person's teaching. He was a trainer teaching, offering a certification class or a continuing education class for other trainers, not a PT. And this guy screenshots it, drops it in a Google, in a Facebook group, and of course, it's like meat with piranhas.
Yep.
And he's like, his bone to pick was he listed all the pathologies that this would be able to help. He's like, he's using all these terms for the people we help. And I just chime in and I go, do we have some sort of proprietary ownership of treating people with those? If those people with those conditions want to see that person, medical license or not, this is America, baby. They're going to do it. Are you mad he's doing it or mad he's doing it better than you? Because he clearly communicated, if you do this, you'll be more confident and competent in working with these people. The dude was, I'm going to be stereotyping. The dude in his profile picture, a little bit older. So I'm guessing he had a solidified worldview. I need you to have a more liquid worldview. That would be my hot take, right? So I understand that you are offended that you're not making more. Tough. Let's do something about it. This is not a bunch of owners sitting on a hill somewhere giggling as all their minions left. Maybe there's some jackasses like that, but most of the people are bleeding hearts. They did it because they were like, all right, this is my path forward. And this math doesn't math.
Well, and a lot of these, a lot of these staff physical therapists, they want a boost in their base salary, this guaranteed salary, but they also don't want to go do these talks at 8 p.m. at these gyms, the ASIC store, whatever. Like, you want extra money, but you don't want to actually bring value to the table. Like, if I had team members or therapists say, oh, I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do this, like, then our name and our branding and we're getting out there more in the community, like, and then show me, like, let's track it. Like, you did a talk, you did a presentation, whatever. We got how many leads? We got how many new patients? They spent what
part.
Dollars?
The problem is that second part is tracking it. Well, I'm going to go do this and this and this. And then you as an owner are probably saying, okay, let's walk through how that's going to bring us business. You're just saying, let's go through the process. What if you do it 10 times and it only brings us 30% of what you thought it was going to? Now you did.
Then the owner and the staff physical therapist, we can share that 30%.
Correct. We can share the 30%.
Because you are now on at the same level of risk and downside. Like, you did a bunch of work. You did a bunch of time at 6, 7, 8 p.m. after your workday to go do whatever, to do talks, to do running groups, whatever.
Or it didn't work.
And it didn't work. And so you're only going to get paid what that brings in. So if it brought in 30% of the projection, then let's split. Then I'll take the 15%, and you take 15% of what it brought in, because I had no extra time or risk. My risk is shared with your risk, and I didn't have any extra time other than it was your own time to do it. Sure. Now let's split that. I'm cool with that.
This has been an even more, like, I understood that from running radio stations. I would have people pitch ideas to me, and then I would have on-air talent pitch an idea for a sponsorable feature. Hey, I'm going to do this thing every day at 12. We could probably get someone to sponsor it. Can I get some of that money? And I'm like, absolutely. But now you're in on it with me through the whole process, because now a salesperson has to go pitch that. That salesperson has to get paid because that's their job. They're going to take a cut of that. And then everybody in this room or some of the team is going to help produce that. That's part of their revenue. So what I don't want people thinking is, I brought in an extra $100,000. Where's my extra $100,000? My man, we got to pay for the machine that allowed you to do that. I had a kid who would not be able to understand this. He's like, if I help you sell a sponsorship for $10,000 a month, I want $10,000 a month. And I'm like, my man, you don't own the radio station. We have to pay for this machine.
Exactly.
I love the fact that you're like, what you're thinking in $10,000 a month. Awesome. I will happily make this part of your job, and you get a cut of that. But dude, I have to keep the lights on while you're doing extra money. No, you're part of it, which means you get part of it. The thing I was going to say was, this has been a cool mindset shift for me in my new job. I'm in partnerships. So it's different than an affiliate code, right? We've all had like, oh, share this affiliate code. That's not what partnerships are. Partnerships are cool. And I'm just starting. I'm 2 months in.
Cool.
Here's why, though. So I don't want 200 partners working with me, because I look at myself. I'm Jerry Maguire. Help me help you. Show me the money,
show me the money, baby.
I will. But help me help you is first, which is I'd like to have, and I'm making up a number, 50 partners. Because once I hit my limit on partners, like Jerry Maguire said, it's not just more athletes, it's deeper connections with fewer athletes. That was the thing that he wrote in his hotel room where I am now. The things we want, the things we think but do not say. That was his thesis. That was his clarion call that got him fired by Moore. What was it?
Jay
The
Moore.
comedian. Jerry Moore.
Jay Moore.
So here's how partnerships shifted. Here's maybe how clinicians should look at it. I'm going to facilitate a relationship with someone, right? But then it's your duty after you sign that partnership. It's now two ways. So I'm looking to get 25 or 30 partners. And then one day a month is Jimmy's responsibility to get on a call and say, how do we now become successful? I don't expect me to sign a partnership and have that person just go bring me business without me doing a part of it. Now, yes, me paying that person or giving them a fee is part of it. But to me, I like the relationship build part of partnerships, right? Which is not sponsorships. It's not affiliates, not affiliate codes. It's a little bit deeper. It's now that we're in partnership together, my first question should not be how much can you bring me? What can I help you do? Like this guy, Alex, like in theory, if he were to become a partner, I go, great, Alex, you've got a bananas idea in this in-person event. How does Jimmy help you get more people there? How does Jimmy help you? You know, he mentioned he has 2 podcasts. He doesn't have 2 podcasts. He has 2 podcasts just on YouTube. And I'm like, my man, you got to be on Spotify. All your stuff, your interviews are bananas, but let me help you. Help me help you. It's all Jerry Maguire. I'm going to take my entire career in partnerships, all the leadership from Jerry Maguire. And I did make a Jerry Maguire reference the other day in a meeting, and Dave,
it also got missed.
Half the room didn't know it.
What
half the room was like, I think I said, help me help you and show me the money. And I had people like, yeah. And then like, and I'm like, oh, it hurts my soul.
That message should still resonate with your team members, even if they don't know the movie Jerry Maguire, right?
Well, yes, but I think the people
it's very obvious. Help me help you. You're in partnerships.
Right,
Show
but
me
help
the money,
me help you is a cliche, but because it was in the movie, it's a emotional cliche.
Right.
Somebody who understands and agrees. Why don't we think this way? I think Jerry's saying, I think he's saying, why don't we, the profession, think this way? And this was a few minutes ago, so I don't even know what he was referencing.
Jerry Durham's Giants beat my Phillies 2 out of 3. I was talking smack online, and I have to eat my words because they won the series. So on the road, it was in Philly. So shout out to Jerry and his SF Giants.
I saw JT Realmuto got called out on a called strike that was 4 inches off the plate, and I'm like, the robot umpires are like sitting off the side.
I can't wait.
All right,
I can't wait. I can't wait for the robot umpires. Not robot physical therapists, but I want robot umpires.
At least robot umpires helping on, like, didn't we do the whole tap the helmet thing? And is that not happening now?
I just want, real quick, I just want a digital home plate. It just lights up green or red. Green like a strike, red for a ball or whatever, or vice versa. But I don't want any, like, I had an issue over the weekend with a game and a bad call in a game with an umpire. I was sliding headfirst into home. I was safe. My whole dugout erupted because I was called out. We don't need human umpires for baseball at any level. Full stop. Full stop. We do. We do need folks like Jimmy in partnerships, though.
Partnerships. Help me. Look right in the camera. Help me help you. I found this online.
Yes.
On LinkedIn, the digital version of networking, because I can't walk around New York City. It's called A Walk in New York. Reinvent your neuro rehabilitation. So, like, right off the bat, love the website. Like, great, makes me intrigued, a little confusing because I'm like, what is it? But then it says a new kind of private practice combining self-balancing exoskeletons, immersive virtual reality, and personalized care. Start your rehab journey. So this is a practice online. There's that free discovery call, which breaks my heart. It's the only way to get in. I couldn't give you money if I wanted. I'd have to do a free discovery call. All right. I'm interviewing the guy or one of the guys behind this or somebody involved with this. And I was trying to figure it out just by looking at the website. It looks like they come to you with an exoskeleton to your house. So it's like concierge care in New York if you are a neurologic physical therapy patient, a patient of neurologic physical therapy.
There's no way they're lugging this around to do house calls. There's no way. I thought they were on Park Ave South. I thought it was brick and mortar.
I thought it was coming to you. Meet the team.
Right there, right there. Hold on, go back up a little bit. It said, doesn't say why you should come to us.
These things.
No, you go
Oh,
back up
who
a
should
little
come to
bit.
us? Stroke, spinal cord. These are all conditions. But I thought he said we come to you.
Who should come to us? Come to
No, but
us.
I thought the first thing I saw in his LinkedIn post that led me to this a while ago. So this is a good thing, and I'm not busting chops here, Josh. But if you actually bring an exoskeleton to someone, if you lug this thing around, I've been in one of these things. They're cool.
They're heavy though, right?
But get it yeah, but you know how it is. Like, I mean, I played with one 2 years ago. By now they might be like half as light, or I don't know. It might fly at this point. Who knows? If he's
If you go
bringing
to
that
the if you go to the very bottom, and I think there was like an Instagram button, and then you could look at their Instagram, and there was a brick and mortar office.
Yeah, there is an address. There is an address.
Yeah, just click on that. There's like 2 posts on their Instagram, and one shows like a street level office on Park Ave South, which that brings me to my next point in a second about that first or second post, whatever that is.
This one?
The one, where you can see the taxi cab on the left.
Yeah, and they're using an overhead harness system too.
Right.
Oh, see, in the beginning, I thought they were bringing exoskeletons to people in New York who couldn't get them, which I don't know, man. I feel like a lot of people would ask for that. Not easy, simple, but not easy. That would be, that does not look light.
Let's get into the like quick financial, like nerdy business stuff real quick. So the space looks beautiful. The technology looks awesome. On the website, though, it says that that they take a lot of in-network, or they take a lot of insurance, including, Medicare and like some of the other payers, right, on the website. So, but on here, it's a one-on-one visit, it looks like, where obviously at least in this video, there's a professional, I'm assuming that's a therapist, with a patient or client that has a neurological condition that's in the exoskeleton. So, and also they're on Park Ave South. Jerry says, bring on the robots. I hope he means talking about MLB, but not for physical therapy.
He does.
Yeah. Finally, Jerry and I can agree on something.
He also thinks free discovery for everyone is foolish. I agree.
Yeah, well, let me just hammer this point for a second. So they're on Park Ave South in Manhattan. That space is pretty big.
Yeah.
I would say, I don't know. That's at least $8K per month, $8,000 a month, but it's probably 10, 15, I don't know, K per month. And how, if you're doing one-on-one visits like this, meaning because there's a professional or a therapist with the patient in this exoskeleton, how can you accept all these in-network insurances, including like Medicare, and make 100 or 120 per visit? And how can you make this business model work? Maybe we need to hear more from Josh, the founder and the physical therapist that works here. How can you cover the overhead? We were talking about the personnel and the overhead and the profit.
That overhead harness system isn't cheap either. Not at all. Like, not cheap.
The amount of money that they to even put, so to buy the exoskeleton, to have the overhead harness attached into the attached overhead, so it was already installed. So it looks like this practice has put a lot of money up front to get them up and running. The clinic looks beautiful, looks gorgeous. I love the aesthetic of it.
Wandercraft,
so
176,000.
I didn't even realize they were that expensive. So that I like, maybe he got a unit that's like used and it's free, or it's part of some, I don't know, some study. Something like that, maybe. But even that, you still have the overhead of that space, the address that's on their website, Park Ave South, not cheap at all. But this storefront location, not even like on the 3rd floor or 8th floor through an elevator, storefront sidewalk location, Park Ave South, very expensive. How do you make this business model work? I'm fascinated. Maybe we need to have them on in the future. I don't know.
I show you how you make it work? And this wasn't planned. And this is different, not the same. These guys cut the PTs out, and I commended him for it. So this is somebody I had on the show a long time. I'll bring Yanni back. That's Yanni right there. It's Yanni Corey. Yanni was a Georgetown athlete. Yanni was playing beach volleyball in California and dove in between matches to like cool off. Spinal cord injury. Hit a sandbar. So like prime of his life. There's Yanni right there getting swole. Yanni then went through the system and was like, dude, we can't afford this, or I get neuro rehab like once a month because of whatever, insurance and costs and availability. Yanni started Next Step, which are gyms, gym setup, square footage of machines, baby, and trainers. But obviously they have things like vibration plates. They have things like not so much exoskeletons, I think, but more like FES bikes. So a gym for people with neurologic rehabilitation. I won't even say neurologic physical therapy issues. And because Yanni was a smart dude and he's like, admittedly, he's like, I have connections. He's like, I'm a Georgetown grad. I got people with insights and connections and money. And getting this to work is still not easy. It's a brilliant idea. Yanni's goal is a gym in every one of these in every major city in the US, and then spread. So I want to make sure I'm not dumping on Josh though from Walk in New York. They're doing it. I want to see how, because let's learn. Let's steal their good ideas and give it away and see how. But I think Next Step, this is what Yanni figured out. He went through the system. He saw that Park Avenue South and what's rent, what's an exoskeleton cost. He's like, we're never going to get this. So he starts gyms. Jerry likes
I don't know if I'm a fan of doing this type of. I mean, it's different if so it's a gym, but a lot of the electrodes that they're using, a lot of that. I mean, they're using right here. There's 3 people.
Yeah,
I understand. I understand. Yeah, I understand. It's cheaper labor, basically, right?
So they have PTs though. Come in and train the trainers.
Well, that's kind of, that's. I mean, I don't know if I'm a fan of that. I don't know.
Well, it's
like
that
okay. So let's. No, I know. What's better? What's worse?
Trainers are smart. We're not geniuses because we have a PT degree. We know some stuff and we can teach some stuff. They only need to know how much do you need to know to get someone on an FES bike.
Well, you need to know where to put those sticky electrodes for like the FES and all that.
I passed the test. Anybody can figure this out. Yeah, hey, listen, you're an adult. Don't screw up. And there's insurance. Don't screw up. And we'll fire you if you do. I like it.
It's interesting.
So I'll get Yanni back on. He did a ride across America.
But Tony, you can't do that type of rehab. You can't do that rehab gym online. That can't be virtual.
No. Well, here's what you know about neuro. It's repetitions. That's what they know.
Right.
He did a ride across America. He rode essentially like a jacked up wheelchair, like an off-road wheelchair across the country to raise money. He's done this multiple times. San Francisco to like DC. Wild. Yanni's like, yes. Yanni's a mess stuff up kind of guy. I like guys like that. Where he's like, I piss a lot of PTs off. He's like, a lot of PTs will find out about us and be like, there's no PTs on staff. He goes, no, you're too, because you want $150,000. And don't math.
But also the folks that have those neurological conditions, they have a lot of other expenses. They're trying to buy their own FES bikes at home, whatever, and they probably can't afford the one-on-one visits
for it.
Exactly.
The insurance is like, I'm out.
So you could cut different parts of it. They cut the therapist out. It's interesting.
Correct. Yeah, we just said the overhead. They cut the most expensive part. You can't do that. They did. They said, fuck you, I will. And they did. And you know who cares? PTs are griping about it. And I'm saying, look at the face of the person who's working out right now. They look pretty damn happy. And what does that do for their entire life and their entire solar system? It shouldn't be that way, but it is. That's where Yanni's like, fine, if you're not building it with me, I'm going to build it myself. I love stuff like that. He's awesome. All right, what else is on the list? We have 12 minutes.
Europe. Let's see. Do you want to... Europe or you are up?
Oh, I was like, Europe. We're going across.
How about this? How about that? I sent you we either got the Bo thing or your LinkedIn post about the what do you do in your workplace to foster excellence across your team? You want to do that, or you want to do the Bo thing?
Talk about Bo. I'll go find the other LinkedIn post so we have it. So start talking about Bo. I'll go click around to find my LinkedIn post that we're going to talk about.
All right, this is physical therapist Dr. Bo Babenko. I screenshotted his LinkedIn post. I'm sorry, this is the Instagram post. And it's got a QR code. It says movement assessment, $199 with his phone number, his email address, and his website. And Bo put in the caption, targeting an older population for movement assessment in person or virtually. Any thoughts, colors, spacing, etc. So Bo, he's a good friend of mine. I love it. He's posting this out there that prospective patients might actually see anyway. But he's asking for help on designing this or our thoughts on this type of a banner flyer for this offer.
All right. I'm stuck, and this is probably a longer. I feel like an entire episode or a chunk of one in the future should be taking phrases that PTs use and using better one. Because a movement assessment, I understand what you're saying because I'm a PT. I'm worried that people are like, I'm not a dancer. I don't know what a movement assessment is. Like Shirley Sarman in the movement system. I don't know. Words matter, dude. So like that's why I'm like not making fun of Bo. I think Bo is using phrases that others have used. I'm trying to figure out what a movement assessment is. If I'm even a PT, is it a physical therapy assessment? Is that a treatment or is it something different? And I think in the public that is confusing.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we should hold this for a longer episode, but like your dad had a stroke, right? Like would he say I need a movement assessment or I want a movement assessment, or would he say like I want a balance better plan or like a
Fix me.
walk better, fix me,
Fix me.
fix my walking? Like what? Yeah, like and that's the thing. I've had therapists get mad at me and write to me because of stuff on my website around like find the root cause of pain, fix the root cause of pain, or like the word fix and oh well you can't fix humans, we're not cars, we're not
We're not
mechanics in
broken.
cars, we're not broken.
But that person feels something is broken.
I want to use my
Words,
target customers
their
words.
words. I agree.
So like Google ads I spent a ton of money on, and uh, back in 2016 2017, like when I first started doing home visits, and they were like, oh yeah, we found you guys on Google, and it was like, oh cool, what did you type into Google? It was it was just like a couple days ago, right?
Yeah, reverse
They're
engineering.
like in home physical therapy or home physical therapy Manhattan or home PT in NYC, whatever. So I was like, oh, all right. So like just use those and have run a ton of money through them to make even more money.
That's what they Google, but when they see concierge pain relief, they go, "Oh yeah, that's what I meant." So it is this wide net to a narrow funnel. They don't have to necessarily Google concierge pain relief, but when they see it, so if we took that parallel, fix, help after stroke, and then you see something, what's the next thing? I don't know if a movement assessment does it. That tells me what you're doing as the therapist.
It's not so Bo works with a lot of like active folks. So I would say each post or digital flyer or whatever should be calling out each like a specific person or whatever their main issue is. So
Part of the
if it's
problem. Yeah.
if it's CrossFitters, it's either like low back or shoulder. So it's either low back pain or shoulder. Maybe you have one flyer that's like so $199. Uh shoulder shoulder tune up for CrossFitters, or CrossFit shoulder tune up or
Yeah.
assessment or whatever. But
See, I don't
like
mind
by
I don't.
CrossFit and the condition.
Yeah, CrossFit tells it that's your who. Because if you're a golfer, you're like, I don't need this guy, right? Unless he says golfer.
Right.
CrossFit tune-up, yeah, I sort of need it. Because I was stuck on movement assessment as the drill, and we taught people to sell the hole in the wall, don't sell the drill, right?
And this is selling the drill. Yeah.
But the funny part is CrossFit tune-up is selling the drill too. But for me, I like that more. Because I can picture what I get out of a tune-up. I don't know what I get out of an assessment. Like a tune-up, broken, then fixed. So yeah, that does sound that never mind. That I know we're talking about the tune-up, which is the process, but I know when I get tuned up, the car runs better, and that's my goal. So I see it. I think it's shorter, it's a shorter distance to like don't create chasms in your messaging that are so wide that someone's going to need to do mental gymnastics and burn a lot of calories. That's what I think the problem with movement assessment is. Then what? Well, then we put together a plan. That's too big. So then sell the plan. That they'll tell you all the time, 3 steps. Come to Bo, get assessed, run through a brick wall. Like you need to like do it in if you can do it in 2 steps. Like be like Bo. How Bo doesn't use he did for a while. He needs to use more Bo knows because if he's aiming at older adults, they
Oh,
remember the Bo
he
knows
was using
ads.
bone. He has been
It's just
for years.
podcast.
Yeah, yeah.
Bo knows this. Bo knows, and it was such a great idea because the Bo knows would stay the same. It's like Bo knows neuro rehab. Bo knows CrossFit. Bo knows that. It was. If your name is Bo, you do that. All right, I found my post. let me get this off the screen. My post, let me zoom these in here. It's on LinkedIn. Yeah, so I took a crazy statement. We talked about how you write viral tweets and stuff. And I took a crazy statement. Mediocrity in healthcare is something we should just accept. And of course, people, what? We could never accept mediocrity. And then I go on to say, we didn't go through years of schools, clinics, and sleepless nights just to punch a clock. And yet, patients still walk away disappointed with their care. Why? And instead of blaming the patients, I say, here's the real question. If you're a provider who refuses to settle for average, but what do you do actively to raise the bar, not just for you, but for your whole team? And then I used the LinkedIn poll. And for the podcast audience, I had four options: lead by example, celebrate great care, mentor and teach peers, set up and uphold standards. And I'll give the results, or there's 4 days left in the polls.
Yeah,
it's pretty evenly split.
What we got right now?
It's pretty evenly split between three: lead, mentor, and uphold standards. So lead by example, mentor peers, set and uphold standards. Celebrate great care is at 4%.
So it looks like you selected lead by example. Like that was your answer?
I think so, yeah.
So for me, I selected set and uphold standards. If I had to pick one, lead by example, of course it makes sense, but like, there's a therapist in the clinic, there's the clinic director, like they lead by example. But for each of the therapists, like they don't their onus is not on them to follow that. Like they might look at it, they might be like, yeah, that's the leader or whatever. But the owner, the clinic director, the manager, whatever, has to be setting and upholding the standards, because that's like, okay, Jimmy, like person by person, therapist by therapist, staff member by staff member, here's your roles and responsibilities, here's your role scorecard, here's how you're going to be assessed here. Like when you come to ask for more money or like a pay raise or whatever, we're going to look at your money, we're going to look at like, your patient satisfaction scores, your Google reviews. Like, here is how we're going to set and uphold standards, and here's how we're going to keep you accountable, and here's the weekly calls or meetings or whatever we're going to check in with you over time to make sure, hey, are you because up front it's the manager, the owners, it's their responsibility to set the standards and then uphold them over time. Like, here's how we're going to keep you accountable to these standards over time. So that's why I selected that as the response.
I changed my answer. You can do that on a LinkedIn poll. I hit undo and I changed my answer. Well, I brought this up the other.
No one saw it.
That's okay. No, but changing your answer is not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of strength, in my opinion. So what you made me think of was that line that I talked about the other day from Adam Grant. What he says is the 19 words you have to say before you give some feedback. I'm giving you these comments because I have very high expectations, and I'm confident you can reach them. But Jimmy, you've been doing this. So that is, I think, setting and upholding standings might also be leading by example, because if you set and uphold, you're showing. I picked lead by example first because I thought it was show, not tell. I thought set and uphold felt like tell.
And to reinforce it, it's like lead by example is great, but it's like vague. Like there's nothing in like a standard operating procedure where you can be like, like lead by example is subjective.
How?
Set and uphold standards is
Technical.
Objective. You either did it or you didn't do it.
Got it. Okay. I changed my answer.
All the other stuff is great too. Like they need to be mentored and taught and trained and coached along the way. That's important. And then celebrating great care, like, we have a team meeting and like, Jimmy wrote a Google review about, Dr. Tommy. Like let's read that Google review out loud. Like let's as we're talking like as a team, let's read some of these Google reviews. Let's read some of these comments. Mary, sent us a handwritten thank you note or a card. Like, let's read that out. Let's pass that around. Yes, you want to celebrate great care and the experience that you deliver.
If you could only do one, set and uphold standards, because they're repeatable.
No doubt.
And measurable. Repeatable. And what gets repeatable and measurable.
Amen.
Okay. All right. 60 seconds. This is good timing. Parting shot.
We are crisp today. We are crisp. Parting shots. Let's go back to the Greg Todd thing. I didn't say it earlier if it was not clear. 100% agree with him. I don't know if I have enough information to say that they're overpaid, but I do feel like there's some amount of entitlement there. And the parting shot would be, if you want to be paid more, you have to think of ways. You bring ways to the table, you bring ideas, here's a game plan, here's a strategy. Should I test this out? Should I go do this on my own time, whatever, at nights, weekends, whatever? How can I bring more value to the practice? Can I bring more patients, more revenue, more partnerships, whatever? Physical therapists out there watching, if you're listening, watching, uh, think of that. Bring that stuff to the table. Don't say like you're in this in-network model where everything is capped. So there's no more meat on the bone there. You got to go
No.
find meat somewhere else. The meat is at the gym. It's at the running shoe store. It's at the library, maybe, I don't know, the CrossFit gym, wherever it is, at the coffee shops, the yoga studios, the Pilates, other business owners in the area. How can you help the practice owner transfer some of that value? And then they should absolutely be open to giving you a bigger slice of that pie.
My parting shot will be Jerry Maguire, right? Help me, help you. Help me, help you. Should be your mindset. Be the agent in Jerry Maguire. Be the partnership guy. When you lead with that, look at Alex from my event last night. Dude's like, I'm going to create a space for others to succeed. And then Alex gets to ride that wave. Like, dude's a smart guy. And then every once in a while, my final parting shot will speak for Tony's. Every once in a while, unplug, do nothing, be on a lake, and be comfortable wearing Crocs. We'll see you guys on Tuesday. Follow Learn Medicare Billing, Dave Kittle Show, and PT Pinecast. And maybe we're coming to New York. Are you want to come to the next event with me? It's going to be in New York.
In the city? Yeah, let's do it.
In the city. We'll do it. All right. Anybody else wants to come? Dun, 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 dun.